What if the Chicago Bears drafted Patrick Mahomes? Many people forget that in the 2017 NFL draft, the Bears had the number 2 overall pick and could have drafted who many see as the best quarterback in the league today. So in today's video, I am exploring that alternate reality with Mahomes in Chicago. And I have finally done it. I just spent probably the last 30 to 45 minutes really reshuffling and making this Bears roster look like it does currently as we sit here towards the end of March of 2025. We got all the offensive line additions with Jonah Jackson, Drew Dalman, and Joe Thuney. I love what Ryan Poles and the Bears front office did this offseason, really focusing on the trenches, which has been kind of a weak spot for them for the last couple of years now. But Mahomes on this team is going to make us an instant contender. We still have Rome Odunze. We still have DJ Moore as well. And on the defensive side of the ball, we do have some holes to fill. I think we could use another pass rusher, a right outside linebacker, maybe another cornerback. But this is definitely a pretty good roster to take over, especially when you put in the best quarterback in the game on this team. And now after free agency, we have the draft, and I'm probably going to be going BPA and maybe addressing the running back position if somebody that I like is there at the number 10 overall pick. Here we are with the 10th overall selection, and there are some really good players still on the board with Ashton Jeanty, Kelvin Banks, and Will Campbell. Honestly, the smart pick is probably to just go one of these tackles, but I want to have some fun in this Mahomes joining the Bears rebuild. So let's go ahead and take Jeanty here with the 10th overall pick. And he's number 6 in true value. He's an absolute stud with 94 speed, 97 acceleration, and now our offense is just ridiculous. And here in the second round, I think Nick Emenwari from South Carolina is also a really good fit for us in the back end of our defense. An absolute physical specimen. He doesn't have the greatest tape. That's kind of why he's a controversial player in this NFL draft, but I think we need some help in the back end of our defense with Kevin Byard getting up there in age a little bit, and he's going to be a guy that we can develop slowly behind him with his 90 speed, 91 acceleration, and being a hidden dev player. I really like this pick for us as well. I think I'm also going to try and address the defensive tackle position because Grady Jarrett, he's one of our starters. He's like 32 or 33 years old. We need somebody to replace him, and Tyleik Williams is a really good prospect out of Ohio State, but he's 52 in true value. He is hitted with 89 strength, but ended up being a pretty good pick for us and a future starter in just a year or two. We do also need a right outside linebacker, and Mondin Jr. is an absolute stud, it looks like, from Georgia, 6'3", 235 pounds. And for whatever reason, in this draft sim, this guy is just ridiculous. Elite speed, elite jumping, elite change of direction, elite acceleration. I just got to take him here and just live with the results. He's number 70 in true value. He is only normal dev, but I mean, 89 speed with 91 acceleration. I think he can play for us from day one because it is a very weak spot on our roster and develop into being a really good player. I let the CPU take over the rest of our draft because I was really happy with our first 4 selections, and they turned out to be really good. Jeanty, Emenwari, Tyleik Williams, and Mondin Jr. are all going to end up being starters for us, I believe. And we didn't get great selections from our CPU the rest of the draft, but I mean, it was a lot of 6th and 7th round picks, so I'm not too worried about it. I am going to try and edit Smail Mondin Jr. That is his first name, Smail. I don't know why that is banned on Madden. I guess we'll try it ourselves here and see if it does work. And it looks like it did. So now we got our real player here, Smail Mondin Jr. from Georgia. And here's how the roster is looking like heading into the first year of this alternate reality / rebuild. With Mahomes on the Bears, with Jeanty, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, the offensive line completely rebuilt. And on defense, a ton of really nice veterans and now some really high upside players with Tyleik Williams, Emenwari, and Mondin Jr. I'm really happy with how our last draft turned out. Now we'll see if we can even be a playoff team in our first year. And through the midseason point in year number 1, we were 4-3. So not a great start, but we have won 2 games in a row against the Saints and the Lions to get to this point. It looks like our offense with Mahomes is dominating, but our defense is actually really struggling, which I kind of expected maybe not to be this bad. I still think we're a few pieces away before we can get to those levels of being one of the best defenses in the league. But let's take a look at players ready to negotiate. We only have $29 million in cap room because Patrick Mahomes, he has an absolutely huge contract, and so does like Joe Thuney. All those guys I brought in, I try to make their contract as realistic as possible. But Kyler Gordon is a good player for us. He's not very expensive either. I'm going to give him a 2-year deal. Same thing with like Jaquan Brisker. He's young, about to be in the prime of his career. I want him back as well and kind of pair him with Emenwari as they get older. But we're going to have to make some tough decisions, I believe, on Braxton Jones, TJ Edwards. We're going to let Byard leave. We just drafted his replacement. And I think after that, actually, there's not many other players we need to bring back immediately. We have barely enough money to bring back Braxton Jones. I will offer him this contract. He will come back to us, which is awesome. But now we have $3.9 million in cap room, and TJ Edwards does want a decent chunk of that. So we're probably going to have to wait to the offseason to restructure some deals to bring him back. And in the first year of this Mahomes Bears rebuild, we went 10-7, so definitely a pretty good season for us. It looks like our defense was just tragically bad and probably why we won't be able to win multiple playoff games this year, which is a little bit disappointing. But just taking a look at the numbers, it's really helpful to just have Mahomes on your team. 4,700 yards, 44 touchdowns to just 11 interceptions. On the ground, Genty to go over 1,000 yards and then 8 touchdowns himself. Receiving, DJ Moore. Oh my goodness, DJ Moore had 2,074 yards and 27 touchdowns. He just broke an NFL record. That is the first time I've ever seen this on Madden. That is just absolutely absurd. Romadunze had a good season, and so did Zacchaeus, but man, I just cannot get over 2,074 yards for DJ Moore. Defensively, Montez Sweat was really our only good pass rusher. He had 10.5 sacks on the year. Picks-wise, Tremaine Edmonds and Jalen Johnson both had 5 each, but we just need a couple more impact players on this defense. But a pretty good season in year 1 for Mahomes and Ben Johnson, and now we're at Ford Field for this wild card round. This is going to be a very hard in-divisional matchup in the playoffs. And it looks like the Lions are starting off with the football, and much like a lot of teams have done this year, they move it right down the field. Here is our first look at Mahomes and the number 15 jersey for the Bears. Honestly looks kind of like Aura. It looks pretty good. But here we go. Gonna try and find DJ Moore underneath, and he held on for the first down. I want to get ourselves a touchdown and then kind of just sim this out, but there's DJ Moore again. Him and Mahomes, probably the best tandem in the league now. But first and goal at the 1, and I think the Zacchaeus is right there wide open. 7-3 Bears early. The Lions, though, cannot answer, and kind of a slugfest. It's 14-3 now, 14-10. Now we're seeing some fireworks as we approach the third quarter, and here goes Mahomes, 21-10, 21-18, but they can't stop Mahomes. We're finally going to get a field goal, 24-18, and now we're going to kick, I think, another field goal here, make it 27-18, and Mahomes in the playoffs is just different because this Lions team just could not deal with us, and that's going to be the game. We're going to win our first playoff game in a long, long time in Chicago, 30-18 against the Detroit Lions, one of our biggest rivals. And our round 2 matchup is against the Atlanta Falcons and Michael Penix Jr. on the road. They destroyed another NFC North team in the Minnesota Vikings, 41-20. And it's kind of fun to look on the AFC side, and we see no Kansas City Chiefs. I did give them Caleb Williams, and it looks like that experiment is not working out great so far. But can we go back-to-back here in the playoffs and make the NFC Championship game? Our offense has not been stopped much so far in these playoffs, but our defense has actually been playing a little bit better. As Atlanta is going to get a touchdown, we are going to try and answer, though. Mahomes in the playoffs is just so good. He's like literally a cheat code in Madden. Put him on any team, any receiver, and he makes him, one of the best receivers in the league. But it's 10-10 still as we approach the fourth quarter. We're finally moving it down the field at 17-10, and Atlanta is trying to tie this game up. Our defense has only allowed 10 points here on the road, which is just insane for us. But here we go, underneath here to Bijan Robinson, and he is going to pick up a pretty big gain here. 1st and 10 again for Michael Penix. He's going to throw underneath here, and Kyle Pitts is going to bounce off a couple tackles to pick up another first down. Now inside the red zone, just like that. Penix and the Falcons just need 13 yards. Again, going to drop back and pass here. Underneath again, and this time they're going to pick up 9 more yards. Defense has been great all day. I hop in, and just nobody wants to play any defense whatsoever. You can't make it up. But here we go on 2nd and 2. Brought a little bit of a blitz, and it's not going to get home underneath, and Pitts dropped it. Typical Pitts. We'll see if we can make kind of like a goal line stand here. I'm going to use our Bayard, kind of just watch the middle of the field, and Penix dropping back. Going to fire it outside the numbers. Let's call for a touchdown. Instead of playing as Mahomes here, I'm going to watch him and watch this absolute cinema. Mahomes' first play to Komet for 8 yards. We just need about 25 more with 2 timeouts and 49 seconds. Plenty of time for Mahomes to end this game in regulation. Dropping back again, trying to find somebody's going to run for it, and Mahomes, a ton of green grass, across the 50. How about one more first down? And we are in field goal range just like that. The Mahomes effect is real. Back-to-back road playoff games, and oh my goodness, that was a risky throw. Clock still is ticking, though. Under 30 seconds, Mahomes again to Komet. I mean, he's just ice cold. Another first down. Here is Cairo Santos from, I believe, like 40 yards away. And we'll see if he can put this one through. and send the Bears to the NFC Championship game. And he can. And in the NFC Championship game, it is not the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the Dallas Cowboys. As soon as we get Mahomes, they just turn around their entire franchise and are just good all of a sudden. But they are the number 7 seed. So you know what that means? The Bears are hosting the NFC Championship game in year 1 with Mahomes on the team. The possibility of making the Super Bowl in year 1 with such a weak defense is wild to me. We're going to go on a crazy dynasty run if that's the case. But the Cowboys are going to start off the scoring and make it 7-0. But we quickly answer Mahomes is not going to be held down too long in the postseason. It's really been our defense is just playing a lot better since we've been hopping into these games here in the playoffs. It's 14-10 at half. We're driving it down the field again to make it a 2-possession lead. We do, it's 21-10, and we're trying to add some more points to the board. It's 24-10. 24-17. Let's hop in and play another down to defense and see if we can stop Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and a bunch of other players I don't recognize on this Cowboys team. But the Cowboys get a field goal. We get a quick touchdown. It's 23-31. They're inside our red zone. They have all 3 timeouts in 30 seconds. Dak is going to drop back and fire it to the end zone. Could have just iced the game. The one thing I do like is we're up 8, so we can allow a touchdown here and then stop them on the 2-point conversion and still win. But obviously, one turnover here would be awesome to just end it. But Dak going to the end zone. He's going to fire it. CeeDee Lamb with a toe drag. And now we got the 2-point conversion. Dak is going to snap it from under center. I don't think they're going to run it. They're not. Dak again, trying to find somebody open. And he's got Tolbert. So Dak is just one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the league now. What a couple of drives and throws for Dak there. And Mahomes has around 10 seconds now with 3 timeouts. And he's going to be sacked. We're going to be going to OT. The Cowboys were unable to score in their first drive in overtime, so we have a chance to go down the field here and in this game. Ashton Genty right up the middle, first down. Mahomes in the shotgun. Plenty of time, going to throw it underneath again. Cole Kmet for 8 yards. Probably around 10 yards away, and Mahomes just threw a pick. His third of the game, I was going to say 10 yards away from field goal range, and he just threw a pick. And now Dallas has the ball at midfield, only needing a field goal to win OT. I just don't love this here with how our defense has been this game. And oh my goodness, that run might have just done it. Quinshon Judkins. Well, here we go. Probably the best kicker in the league, Brandon Aubrey, lining it up from the 21-yard line is where the ball's getting snapped. And it's right down the middle. The Cowboys are headed back to the Super Bowl. And in year 1 of the Mahomes era in Chicago, it went pretty good, but a disappointing end of the season. And the Cowboys did go all the way. They defeated the Ravens 28-20 in the Super Bowl. We did not take home. Actually, we did. DJ Moore, I spoke too soon. DJ Moore with 2,000 yards. He did win Offensive Player of the Year. But no MVP for Mahomes. It went to Joe Burrow and Peter Gaffney. I don't know what happened to Sean Payton, but he's no longer a part of the Broncos. We've got $20 million in cap room now. Darnell Wright, I am going to accept his 5th-year option. And TJ Edwards, he is 30 years old. I think a 2-year deal will be fine. I think we just want somebody right now to kind of keep the continuity on our team. He's still a solid player. He has a lot of interest in returning, going to offer him that, and we are going to get him back. And outside of him, we brought back every main player that's hitting for agency this year. And now we can head really to the draft because we have $9 million. That's not really enough make any substantial moves. We are here in the NFL draft, and I have to make my decision on who I want to take. It's either going to be a linebacker or a corner. It doesn't look like any of the linebackers I've scouted are here. Dorian Matlock, 6'6", out of Florida State. Maybe he's an option. Actually looks pretty good. Or we can go after a cornerback, and that was the position I really wanted to look into this year, so I have all the scouting on these guys. But like Rashad Bowers, he's a round 1 talent, but could go 3 or 4, so I think he's somebody we will target later. So let's go Dorian Matlock, hope he is good, and then slide him in at right outside linebacker. He is 91 in true value. He is hidden dead with 84 speed and 85 acceleration, but not great. And here in the second round, before he gets picked, Rashad Bowers out of Buffalo, 6'1", 205 pounds, man-to-man corner. He's going to be our selection. And he's number 12 in true value. He is only normal dev, of course, but 95 speed and 93 acceleration at 6'1". This guy probably going to start for us instantly. Going to take another flyer on a defensive tackle here. Joshua Miles from Oklahoma. He's got elite speed, looks like a great all-around just athlete, and his skills are also pretty good as well. For a late 3rd round pick, seems like a steal for me, and he was number 147 in true value, but he is hidden dead with 89 strength And maybe, just maybe, he can be the duo with Tyreek Williams on our interior of our defensive line. The draft recap is pretty solid. A guaranteed starter in Bowers. I think Matlock and Miles could be good players as well. The CPU did get us a backup tight end, and we really needed one in Will Greco here, who is still a solid option in the 4th round. And here's what the roster looks like in year 2 with Mahomes. The offense is just ridiculous. It's only going to get better as Genty continues to improve. I don't know how DJ Moore is now like a 95 with a superstar X Factor dev trait after winning Offensive Player of the Year. Makes no sense to me. But I mean, the offense is loaded, and as long as we have Mahomes, it's going to be one of the best offenses in the league. What I want to see this year, though, is some improvement on defense. I think we can, as some of our younger guys like Emanwari do improve. I still think we need a lot of help on our defensive line with Montez Sweat and Odiungbo as kind of our only pass rushers. We either have to trade for somebody or really hit a home run in next year's draft with a pass rusher. But I'm hoping that this core can just be better this year, and with an 87 overall offense, we can again maybe make a run deep into the playoffs. And through the midseason point, we are cruising 7-0 with the #1 offense in the league, averaging 39.4 points per game. I'm really eager to see the stats at the end of the season. They're going to be generational for Mahomes and DJ Moore. Our defense has improved a little bit. It's now middle of the pack with allowing 23.5 points per game, which is okay. We do have a decent amount of players to bring back and only $19 million in cap room. DeAndre Swift, though, is not one of them. He does not really play for us a ton with Genty. Tremaine Edmonds, I do want him back. He is also pretty expensive, only down to $9 million now in cap room. I think Tyreek Stevenson is probably expendable now with the guy we drafted in past year's draft. And then like Tyler Scott, Roshan Johnson, the rest of these guys I'm not too concerned with. But I do also want Dexter Sr. back, but he's a very expensive player. Gonna have to wait to the offseason to restructure some deals and get him back. Well, we ended the season 16-1 with the #1 ranked offense, the #3 ranked defense. It doesn't get much better than that. Our only loss, I believe, was to the Buffalo Bills. And yeah, we lost 17-24 on the road there. Definitely not an easy game playing in Orchard Park. But I mean, still going 16-1 with so many dominant wins, it's just insane. And the moment we've all been waiting for is the stats for the season. And Patrick Mahomes put up 4,500 yards, 51 touchdowns, to 8 interceptions. Genty on the ground improved from last year with 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns. DJ Moore, he wasn't as insane this year, but he had 1,400 yards and 26 touchdowns. Rome Odunze really developed, 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns. And defensively, Montez Sweat had a huge season for us with 16.5 sacks. Our rookie Dorian Matlock, I had him rush the passer a lot, and he had 8.5 sacks this year, which is really good for a rookie. Brisker with 5 picks, 4 for TJ Edwards, 3 for Nick Emanwari, and we even had 2 for Rashad Bowers, our rookie cornerback. So actually a lot more forced turnovers this year. But with how dominant we were this regular season, we are probably going to be overwhelming favorites to walk away with the Lombardi Trophy this year. And our first matchup is a rematch against the Detroit Lions that we had last year. With how dominant we were all season, I'm not really too worried about this. Maybe once we make it to the Super Bowl, we face off against one of those powerhouse AFC teams, but I feel like we can run through the NFC fairly easily. It's 10-7 though, and the Lions, they're going to take the lead going into halftime, but 17-14, 20-14 now. And I still think Detroit, they're kind of making it a game. Their 3rd time facing off against us this year. They're making it interesting. I do like to randomly hop in and just show some gameplay real quick of what this offense could look like with Mahomes under center. Genty in the backfield just looks insane. But here we go across the middle of the field. A beautiful dime to Rome Odunze. That's just an insane throw. And now up by 3 points, the Lions are again moving it down the field, tying it up 27-27. And Detroit is making it real interesting here. This is kind of scary. At the 2-yard line, 48 seconds. The Lions can theoretically get the ball back, and Genty gonna fall forward for a few yards. It doesn't look like, though, we're gonna try and get a field goal. We're probably gonna take this game to overtime, which is a little bit scary, obviously, against a division rival. Genty again busting through a couple of tackles. He's gonna make it 3rd and 2. One more snap to Genty, and he's going nowhere. It's overtime time. And in overtime, the Lions just went 3 and out, and I'm slowly trying to go through this. We are moving it down the field, 2nd, 10, 3rd and 5, 4th and 5. Another punt back to the Lions. And oh my goodness. And oh my goodness, a 3rd and 2 at the 33-yard line. The Bears are even cursed in Madden. What is going on? Jahmyr Gibbs again up the middle. He's going to be short. This is not a chip shot field goal, but I don't feel great about it here. In the Windy City, maybe he gets pushed right, but the Lions, it's up and it is good. The Bears are even cursed in Madden. Mahomes can't even save this franchise in the postseason. 16-1 season down the drain, just like that. And Madden is just rubbing it in. The Chiefs made the Super Bowl with Caleb Williams in their second season before we've even done it with Mahomes. We did win Coach of the Year, MVP, and Offensive Player of the Year again this year. But man, we can't get over the hump in the playoffs right now. We got to make, I think, a blockbuster move this offseason. I just restructured some contracts. We have $46 million in cap room now. But we need to get back Gervin Dexter Sr. That is a huge point of emphasis for us. And I'm going to give him a very player-friendly deal to make sure he will. And he says he wants to play for a new team next year, but get ready to learn the franchise tag, buddy. $31 million on him. I don't love that, but we have to do that because we need to keep our best defensive lineman. Rome Odunze going to accept his fifth-year option, and I think the rest of these players we are fine letting walk. The one addition I'm going to try and make is DeMarvion Overshown from the Dallas Cowboys. TJ Edwards is aging fairly quickly here. We've been trying to solve this right outside linebacker spot for years now. We don't have a great offer on the table because we are kind of strapped for cash, but he's got a ton of interest in playing for us, so I guess we can see if it will work out or not. He decided to go to the Los Angeles Rams, so forget really everything I just said. And here with pick number 28 in the NFL draft, Tyrell Dawkins. He makes a lot of sense for me. He's 6'5", 257 pounds. His physicals are great. Elite change of direction, great speed, great acceleration. Got A awareness, A finesse move, A pursuit. I mean, he all around looks like a really good and polished pass rusher. We need some more juice off the edge. I'm going to draft him here. And he's number 22 in true value, so actually a really good pick for us here. 87 acceleration. He is hidden dev. I'll definitely take that here. And here at the end of the second round, going to get another weapon for our offense. Mike Lowry kind of could just be like a third receiver for us. He's 6'3", 254 pounds. Really the best player on the board here. We're in a 4.5 40-yard dash. This guy just seems like a freak. And he's number 29 in true value. He is hidden dev. Another really good pick. Don't see much on the board I like, but Josh Swain here from South Carolina just looks like a solid middle linebacker. 4.55 40-yard dash, a 33-inch vertical leap. He's got decent skills as well, like B-man coverage. C tackling and B awareness is okay. Don't know if this guy will ever be like a starter for us, but some good depth maybe here in the third round. Our linebacking core is getting old, so I kind of like the positional value here. He's 130 in true value. He is normal dev, so probably looking at a bust. And the draft recap, Tyrell Dawkins is a really good player. So is Lowry. Swain is okay. The CPU, again, not great in day 3, but I mean, I really like our first 2 picks here. And Dawkins could be a player that gets us over the hump. But the team entering year number 3 is probably the best it's been of this rebuild. The offense continues to just improve. The offensive line is really good. Odunze is now an 83 overall. Genty's up into the 90s. DJ Moore is still really good. And the defense just continues to improve. We now have Dawkins. I will move him to right end to pair with Montez Sweat. The cornerback, we're deep now with Bowers as our nickel. Manawari and Brisker is a nice young safety duo. And our linebacking core is still really, really solid. We're sitting at an 87 overall team. I think we really got to win in the next couple of years because we have a lot of older players who will be phasing out fairly soon. And through the midseason point, we don't quite have that same 16-1 magic. We're already only 4-3. It looks like our defense again this year is abysmal. Might be time to maybe change the scheme. I mean, it was so good for us last year, but I don't know why it's struggling so much. I am running the Sean McDermott Bills defense, so maybe that is why we've been choking in the playoffs. But I think I'm going to change it to the Eagles defense. It's still primarily base 4-3, so we're going to try that out and see if it does improve us at all. But we do have a lot of players to bring back and re-sign. We have $86 million in cap room. Jalen Johnson, one of the best cornerbacks in the league. I do want to bring him back. Gervin Dexter Sr. is still just being really stubborn. I'm going to try and give him a very player-friendly deal, and he finally will accept. But Darnell Wright, he wants a contract, and he's pretty reluctant to sign with us, but he will. And now quickly we're down to $16 million in cap room, and we've got a decent amount of players still to bring back. I think Cole Kmet, we've drafted 2 tight ends back-to-back years. We're probably going to have to let him leave. I am going to give Kyler Gordon a contract. He's been really good for us, but our entire interior of our offensive line is up, and Montez Sweat. So we're going to have to make a couple of key decisions and probably move some money around again. Well, the season is over. We finished 12-5. It looks like our defense improved a little bit with the playbook change, but still not great. Our offense has been carrying so hard with Genty and Mahomes. Another masterful season with 4,700 yards, 46 touchdowns to 10 picks for Patty. Genty, it continues to improve slightly like every year, 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns for him. Receiving, DJ Moore is just generational. Is he going to make the Hall of Fame now after just 3 straight insane years? Rome Odunze, another good season. And Andrew Armstrong, some random guy we drafted from Arkansas, had a good season as well. Defensively this year, we just didn't really have the same sack production. Montez Sweat was double digits again, but we had a lot of drop off from Matlock, who was supposed to be kind of our second option. Our rookie Dawkins only had 3.5 sacks as well. And we didn't force like any turnovers. So just a really disappointing year from our defense. And I don't love that either heading into the postseason. And we are not the #1 seed. It's the Carolina Panthers, but we did win the division again. We are the #2 seed with the Giants in round #1. And I'm hoping like early years, our defense can play better in the postseason where we made the NFC Championship game. Last year, it was a big disaster in that first game, but it's 10-7 as we approach the end of the third quarter. We are going to make it actually, we're not. I thought we were going to score. We do not. It's still 17-7 now finally, and the Giants are unable to get any points on that drive, and we are going to put the icing on the cake there and win 24-7. Close pretty late in this game, but we are going to escape, and Mahomes and the Bears get another playoff win. And of course, the Cowboys defeat the Falcons, so we have another rematch against Dallas, and we know how much Madden loves the Cowboys. But we also have Patrick Mahomes, who Madden loves. So can we get some cheese here? It looks like we have our first snow game of the video. It's 7-0, 7-3. Early on in this one, 14-3, our offense is having no trouble in the snow here, but the Cowboys just can't get anything to go. The Cowboys can just do nothing, and now it's going to be 31-10, an easy win. And guess who's back in the NFC Championship game? That would be the Chicago Bears. But unfortunately, we won't be at Soldier Field for the game. We have to go to Carolina to face off against the #1 seeded Carolina Panthers. But on the AFC side, there's no signs of the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Buffalo Bills just lost to the Jets at home. Another really intriguing matchup here with the Ravens and the New York Jets. But here we go in Charlotte, and we're getting off to a very fast start, 7-0, which is really important in this sim. It should just score quickly, put the pressure on the other team to come back. And so far, we have ourselves a 17-7 lead. It's 24-7. We haven't even reached halftime. And that could be all she wrote for the Panthers here as the #1 seed. It's 27-7. They really just cannot hang with us and our offense. Our defense has played so much better. Why does that happen? When I hop in and just kind of sim it this way, our defense is just insane, holding teams to like below 20 points a game. But we're going to win, commanding fashion again, 34-14. And the Bears, have we broken the curse? And if we will get over the hump, we got to go through the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. It's taken a lot longer than I thought it would, but Mahomes has finally dragged this Bears team to the Super Bowl with a chance to win ourselves a Lombardi trophy. And our defense is going to have to just play functionable football today against Lamar Jackson, and we're getting off to a 7-0 lead early, trying to add some more points to the board. It's 14-0, an early deficit for the Ravens, but they are going to respond fairly quickly. But Mahomes just has their offense absolutely locked in. It's 28-10, and we're again inside the red zone, 35-10, 35-17 at half. And the Ravens, okay, the Ravens are quickly scoring a lot of fireworks in this game now. Our defense is definitely not playing good. But when you have Patrick Mahomes and technically his first ever Super Bowl for us, he is not going to squander this opportunity. The Ravens have themselves a 4th and 2 here. The game is already over, but I just want to hop in here, get some action in the Super Bowl, and hopefully we can turn it over to Mahomes. And over to the middle of the field, Andrews held on. But the Ravens score it, and my game just shut down. Are you kidding? Madden just doesn't want to see the Bears win a Super Bowl. Luckily, I can just resume it from where we left off. The Ravens are at the 1-yard line. They are going to score, but we recovered the onside kick, and really one first down here ends the game. What better way to kind of cap off this season in our first Super Bowl with a Patrick Mahomes completion for a first down over the middle of the field? Odunze, that's game. And finally, it took a few seasons. We've done it. The Bears are back on top, defeating Lamar Jackson and the Ravens 48-38. The Mahomes effect is real. I mean, how do you stop this if you were the Baltimore Ravens? 5 touchdowns, 354 yards, and he also added in a touchdown on the ground, just a generational Mahomes performance. Here is the season recap. Mahomes did win Super Bowl MVP, and DJ Moore, 3 straight Offensive Player of the Year awards. That is just insane. And as I do in every single one of my rebuilds, I do want to run it back one more season to see if we can go back to back. I don't know if we're going to have the exact same team. We don't have a ton of money. I am going to bring back Drew Dalman as one of our only additions we can bring back to sign. Cole Kmet's just too expensive. Montez Sweat has no interest, and Odiungbo, he just isn't really good enough to bring back either. I guess Jonah Jackson can come back. We have enough money to retain him, but I believe Joe Tooney also retired, so it's going to be kind of dicey this year to see if we can go back to back. I restructured Mahomes and a couple of other players, and now we have some money to spend for kind of our last year here. Braden Fisk, 28 years old, going to pay him a bag to try and get him to come to Chicago. I guess why not bring in the best kicker in the league, because Santos did in fact leave our team. We need a stopgap guard because Tooney retired, so John Simpson, he can be the man to do that. And the last player I'm going to try and sign is Jack Campbell. It is going to be under market value because I don't have a ton of cap space. We're going to give him that offer. I don't really expect to get him though. And we did get Brandon Aubrey, but Fisk is going to Tennessee, which I did not expect. I went ahead and simmed the draft, and we did get a couple positions of need. A left guard, another free safety. An okay draft. I wouldn't say anything special from the CPU here, but it's okay. Now heading into last year, this rebuild, I will say this is probably the weakest team that we've had. A lot of our older players have gotten worse. Some of them retired as well and left the team. Our defense, we have a nice pass rush duo now with Dawkins and Matlock. They're both very young as well. But our linebacking core really needs to be rebuilt. I did sign Andrew Van Ginkel just kind of be a stopgap for us this year. I don't really know what to expect this season, but we have Patrick Mahomes and still a great offense, so you never know. We'll be in the season 11-6, so we still have a chance to run the table here in the playoffs. Looks like our offense, again, just like every single season in this rebuild, was insane, but our defense has just been so bad. Mahomes, another great season, 4,700 yards, 46 touchdowns to 8 picks. Genty, another really solid season. Receiving-wise, Odunze led us with 1,600 yards and 19 touchdowns this year. Still a good season from DJ Moore. Defensively, we really struggled this year, especially without Montez Sweat. No double-digit sacker, and then interceptions-wise, still just not really a ton. We also didn't win the division for the first time in a while with a number 5 seed, so likely going to have to go on the road every single round to make it back to the Super Bowl, but I guess we'll see if we can do it. Going to advance the week on the road, Arizona Cardinals, and we actually are going to win 29-28. And up next is the Washington Commanders, as the Green Bay Packers in our division, the number 2 seed, lost to the Vikings in round 1. We have that championship pedigree. Can we do it again and make the NFC Championship game? We do. 24-20. We take them down, and the Minnesota Vikings are our matchup, and I was wrong. We are going to host the NFC Championship game again because the number 7 seed took down the 2 seed and the 1 seed in back-to-back weeks. The Vikings are on a heater. We've got the record advantage. We have the overall advantage all across the board. Can we take down the Vikings, one of our rivals in the division? And it doesn't even show us. We did not. And for the first time in NFL history, 2 7 seeds make it to the Super Bowl between the Jets and the Vikings. That's so funny. The Minnesota Vikings went all the way and won 27-21. JJ McCarthy, he did win Super Bowl MVP. Mahomes, though, won regular season MVP, and Rome Odunze, Offensive Player of the Year. 4 straight seasons, a Bears receiver has won the Offensive Player of the Year. That's insane. But that is going to do it for me in today's rebuild. Actually, a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I thought in year 1 or 2, like we were going to win the Super Bowl, no problem. But the Bears, man, they just make it extra hard on you. But we did still win a couple of MVPs with Mahomes, got ourselves a Super Bowl, and developed a lot of really nice players like Genty and Rome Odunze. I think DJ Moore's probably a Hall of Famer now. But let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about this rebuild. If you kind of like this style of like altering the history of the NFL. And if you have any other unique ideas you want to see, let me know in the comment section down below. But subscribe to the channel if you are new. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And I'll catch you guys in my next rebuild.